This is the breakthrough I've been waiting for my entire life. Something truly unique. Also, something alien. The possibilities of this organism are endless. Of course, everything I have is totally theoretical, based on what I've seen. But this life form, why, it could be perhaps used to replicate almost anything. Food, living organs. Its explosive power could possibly be a renewable energy source. I need more time and more people. But I have this feeling I'm not going to get it. The creature is alive, after all. And I think the people of this town not only covet it, but worship it. Like a false god. That is, of course, if the people of this town are even actual people anymore. And not, perhaps, even more of the creature itself. The situation needs to be contained. And I have a feeling that once again the actions of fools are going to destroy everything. Damn it all. This is Red Moon Roleplaying.
We return to Denton. At a time when B.C. Rosberg, one of our heroes, is about to meet a potential fate worse than death. While his companions quite happily experiment on the aquatic monster they encountered in their secret laboratory, reassured that the FBI are sending agents to assist them, and it's safe in the knowledge that further biologists are making their way down to Alabama to help Dr. White, B.C. decided to adventure off on his own, and he encountered his biggest fan, the little boy called Charlie, who just wanted him to look in the drain at the horrible creature within. B.C. decided he would do just that, only to find himself surrounded by townspeople who seemed to want to force him headfirst down into that drain to make close personal contact with the creature within. Contrary to expectation, and perhaps to build a little anticipation, we will go to Agent Faulkner and Dr. White first, where a memo has emerged from the telex machine in their secret laboratory, and it reads, once again, "Do not move from your current location. 3 agents have just landed in Alabama, and they will be with you within the hour."
I show this to the good doctor. So yes, they wish for us to remain here for yet another hour. Agents are coming. Not any word about scientists, though, I notice.
Certainly, you are starting to become a little concerned about the location of BC. He knows where you are, you gave him the location, but he hasn't returned yet, and it's early evening now.
Yes, and I did tell them that he would be here. Dr. White, I think I need to go out and find Mr. Rosberg. Would you feel more comfortable joining me, or would you like to continue your experiments here? I might advise against that, though, after what just happened, yes? It does not seem to be safe to experiment on this thing by oneself.
You make a good point, to be honest. The hours are also drawing late, and I look at the clock, and I'm starting to feel a bit tired. We have been here in the lab now for some time. We've made good progress, but as much as I wish I could progress more, a little part of me thinks a bit of a break might be a good idea. So I grumble a little, get my cane, and go, "Well, I suppose we do need to find the damn boy. You need to be here. Can't have him running off in case your government friends get a little tetchy. I know how you types can be. Very well, then let's go and see if we know where he even is. What was he doing again?
Well, last we met him, we'd asked him to go and investigate the houses where Susie Wilkins, she was knocking on doors, yes? To see if there was anything to be learned from there. But that is some time ago now. We haven't heard from him. Perhaps he's around town somewhere. This place isn't that big after all.
Very well then, yes. Let's drive into town and have a look for the boy. We need to get him here soon. Although, I have to admit, your government friends are being very, very keen for us not to go anywhere. I understand, of course, but it's a bit strange they'd send the memo twice.
Yes. They're probably worried about us being contaminated somehow. It is a valid concern to have. We, of course, know more than they do, though. We know that, at least so far, we do not seem to pose any danger to anyone. More importantly, though, we must make sure that BC is alright and that he can join us when the agents do finally arrive.
Indeed. And, again, I wouldn't be too alarmed about there being no scientific, people yet. My people are probably going to take time anyway. I made the request only last night, after all.
Well, that's right. That is right. Alright, well, to town we go. Where is the best place to look, then?
You'd go for culture and intellect if you're looking for where BC would hang out if he was doing something casual. Humanities and intellect would be more based around human behaviour. So if you think BC is still following up his leads, I would say humanities and intellect would be more appropriate.
Well, then I shall have to try that. That only gives me 2 dice, though, so it will not be easy.
As the scientist, Dr. White is supporting you and you're driving. I'm going to allow you to gain your additional 2 dice. He is supporting you in the course of, being an agent.
So I roll 4 dice, and I get... look at that. A 10! So I do get 2 successes.
On 2 successes, you suspect that BC has either swung back around to where the sheriff is at the Johnson house, or he is still investigating those houses in the woods. In reality, there is nothing to take you to the diner where he currently is. The only reason he has gone there is because of his encounter with Charlie Bjorklund, and you don't know about that.
Well then, the sheriff, perhaps.
Very good. You return back to the Johnson household where Deputy Polo is sat out in his car, chomping on a cigar. As you park up, he exits.
And I move up to him. Deputy?
Agent? And that's Dr. White in there?
How has things been here? Anyone attempting to, get into the scene?
Well, the sheriff swung back round because he said he picked up Mrs. Johnson. He found her babbling and wailing out in the woods.
That's good news. Where has he taken her?
Back to the sheriff's office. Right now it's just me here. He got one of the other deputies in the end to help bag up that... He leans in. That torso, you know? They've taken the evidence back to the sheriff's station. That's where Susie is as well, I'm given to understand. So right now it's just me here and the goo and, and John Johnson's body. Because, we gotta call a coroner. We can't move the corpse. And the sheriff reasoned away that lump that he said might have been Chip wasn't no human body. I can't say that I know everything that's going on here, Agent. I'm just here. I'm just a deputy for the badge, you know. And if the sheriff tells me that I gotta do something, well, I'll do it. But, phew,
It's certainly a case that is out of the ordinary, Deputy Polo, but you're doing a fine job, and continue keeping this scene secure.
I gotta tell you, Agent, I got to tell you, it goes over my head. This has gone over my head, and I appreciate that the sheriff, he's new here, but he trusts me because, well, I don't get too involved in the various comings and goings around town. I like to keep myself to myself, and I think that's why he likes me. I don't go out drinking, but all of this, John Johnson dead, and his son probably dead, and Karen Johnson gone mad. I don't know. It's over my head, is what I'm saying.
It's very strange times, my friend, but focus on your job. Most importantly, you've made sure the body of John Johnson, it's in a secure location, yes, it's nowhere near any of the strange substance coating the house.
Oh, well, occasionally I've been poking my head in the house just to make sure no one's been inside. You know, I do a perimeter. I know how to do my job, Doc. But no, his body is still at the bottom of the stairs where you left it, and none of that gungy stuff has moved from the sofa, or the ceiling, or the room above it. I mean, it's moved, you know, it's dripped, but it ain't it ain't any closer to John Johnson's body. Why? Are you saying we need to move the body or something? I'm a sight confused.
I am saying it is vital you do so immediately. Make sure it's nowhere near any of that substance. Also, when you moved the initial artifact, let's call it, you made sure to handle it very carefully. You didn't touch the body in any way. None of the substance has come into contact with your skin. It's highly acidic, my friend. You don't want it burning you.
Oh no, well, Sheriff Reese was very careful. He made sure that he and the other deputy were wearing gloves. That, as far as I know, they didn't get it on them. Sheriff Reese keeps muttering about acid as well, and so he said that no one wants to be touching it, and usually that's enough to stop anyone from reaching out and sticking their finger in it.
Yeah, very good work, boy. Very good work. Yes, it's a highly acidic substance. Nothing to be worried about, of course, just a very... Let's just say I believe Chip Johnson might have been playing with too many chemistry sets, if you get my meaning, and I offer a sort of weird smile.
I can't say that I do, but I will tell you this. This town done got weird in the last few months or so.
You don't say, I remark, looking to the agent.
And I nod.
Anyway, what brings you round here?
Well, didn't see young B.C. around here, did you? He was supposed to be out investigating things. Not quite sure where the young boy's got to.
B.C.? No, he ain't been round here. I'm trying to think, have I heard anything about B.C. today? No, ever since he left here in the morning, I ain't seen him.
I frowned a little and looked to the agent. Well, I suppose he's not here. Perhaps we should go to the sheriff's office?
I don't suppose I could ask you two fellas a favour, though? If you want me to be moving this body, well, we need to be making sure... Well, I can't do it by myself. John Johnson was a big fella. I can't just drag him. We need to be picking him up carefully and placing him down carefully, too. It's likely he's pretty stiff now, anyhow. That don't make it easy to move a corpse.
I furrow my brow and look towards Agent Faulkner.
Oh, man has a point. I suppose we should help out with that. There is certainly a danger. All right, let's get this done. Huh? We need to get back pretty soon. We cannot be dilly-dallying about with this forever. So, quickly.
You re-enter the Johnson house where everything went down earlier this morning. Seems a lot longer ago when that all happened. And you stop immediately. You see that the tendrils of ooze that made up Chip Johnson's simulacrum have very much extended across the ground floor, the floorboards. They are creeping very slowly, you think, but they are creeping towards John Johnson's body and have branched in a Y shape. One branch going towards John Johnson's corpse, the other towards the front door. So you are almost standing in it when you come to a full stop. Well, it wasn't like that when I last checked, I can tell you that.
I trust your word on this, Deputy Polo. This must be, this thing has a will of its own. It's a good thing that we thought to move the body. All right. Well, can we get past it somehow and get at the body, or do we need to cut through it?
You can jump over it, probably without much difficulty. Or take a long stride to do it. They're not terribly wide channels of ooze.
Then I shall take a long stride then and try to pass over it.
Do an athletics plus dexterity, please.
I have athletics 2 and I have dexterity 3, so that gives me 5 dice. And I get 2 successes.
2 successes. The channel of ooze reaches up toward you like a human's hand, reaching out from the puddle of slime. A human hand, wrist, and forearm lashes out toward your ankle. It has a couple too many fingers. It doesn't grab a hold of you. You step too quickly. You see it coming and make a bit of a shuffle step and get away. And just like that, the hand retracts. Deputy Polo backs towards the door. I ain't stepping over that. You are now in a part of the room divided by 2 channels of this ooze. And just like that, you can see the 2 channels start converging toward each other. They're not quick, but they are inexorable. Oh, hell, you need to be jumping back over here, Agent. What can we do?
I stepped back a little. I myself wasn't even going to attempt to jump over anything. I look at my bad leg, but I do start stumbling back. I say, Agent, come back quickly now. And I start fishing around in my pockets. Did I bring some of the potassium or the chemical? Did I bring some? Surely I have some on my person. As I'm searching in my pockets, could I use one rewrite to invoke the cinematic cheap set?
You could. How would you suggest using it?
I would say that as Agent Faulkner stumbles back to get out of the house, he's not quite sure why, but he just goes for the little window. He's going to dive through it, and it's going to come apart, almost as if it was made of fiberglass.
I'd be happy for Agent Faulkner to do that. Is that something Agent Faulkner will do?
Yes, definitely. I must get out of here, and while shooting it with my highly experimental ammunition is perhaps an option, it would also draw a lot of attention, so getting out of this situation is perhaps best to use as a first choice. So, I shall indeed utilize that cinematic, and let's see what happens.
Well, I'm not going to make you roll for that. When you use cheap set, you do charge straight through the wall, door, window, or what have you. And in your case, as described by Dr. White, you barrel your way through the window. There's a momentary glimpse into another reality as Agent Faulkner falls through the window and wall that shouldn't give away like this. It's as if he has accessed an angle, a perspective, a dimension that he shouldn't be able to pass through. It's as if he has made contact with the weakest point of this reality and burst through into another. And it's only for a moment where everything is just black and white, and Agent Faulkner is horrifyingly aware that he is passing between worlds. And then he's outside, landing with a thud onto the dirty lawn of the side of the Johnsons' house. The wall has come apart.
I look to Dr. White and to Deputy Polo. Shit. Well, that thing really is... it's gonna try and get out.
I help the agent up and back away from the house. I have to admit, there's a strange buzzing sound in my ear as I look to the window. How on earth did it come apart so easily? Maybe there was already structural damage? I have no time to think on this. I look to the deputy. Have you... Your lighter, quick! We need to light something! Fire!
Well, I got my cigar, I got my lighter.
Do you have a spare can of gasoline at the back of the car?
I'll check. And I'm going to make a roll myself. A chance roll. And... I do. I've got a spare can right here.
All right. We cannot risk that this gets out. The Bureau is on the way, but there's no time. It's time for some arson.
Oh my, I'm going to have to explain this to the sheriff. Even as he's muttering and cursing, he's already splashing the gasoline up the front porch steps and into the gap that Agent Faulkner has just charged through. The slime seems eerily motivated to escape at this point, and as you poke your... well, you don't poke your head in. As you take a glance in, whilst splashing fuel and propellant around this building, you can see that the slime is starting to wreathe John Johnson's body. It's as if until now it had no urgency to it. It didn't feel compelled. But it's when you returned to the house, when you arrived outside, it suddenly realised, I've got to get moving here. And now it senses it's in danger. It's trying to infest another host. Polo is just standing there, open-mouthed, his cigar hanging from his bottom lip. I don't know what's going on, fellas.
I ignore the deputy and look to Agent Faulkner. Faulkner, his cigar. You know what we need to do. We need to burn it.
And I grab the cigar out of his mouth and I fling it towards the propellant that we have spread out, intent on causing a huge fire.
And it does not take much. In less than a second after the cigar makes contact with the gasoline that you've spread around the house, the fire starts and it spreads quickly. And while the slime is not flammable, it pops and sizzles and squeals as the flames come into contact with it, and the house, made of wood, goes up very quickly despite the rain that's recently been pouring down. These are old timbers, and they catch quickly. You're not sure if this ooze is screaming in pain, but it is certainly squeaking and whistling and piping, almost like a kettle brought to boil. The three of you, Dr. White, Agent Faulkner, and Polo, back away from the house as the flames lick up its sides, very quickly coat the roof, and make for a small inferno cut off from all other buildings nearby. People start emerging from their houses, wondering what on earth is going on. And then we cut back to B.C., who, when we last left him, was being manhandled and forced to meet, if not his maker, his end, in the drains of Denton. The first thing I need B.C. to do is attempt to resist, if B.C. wishes to resist. And that will either be physically, with close combat and might, or if he can do it, with persuasion and presence.
I panic, completely taken off guard by this sudden attack of them trying to grab me and apparently want to throw me down the drain. I flail out, and I have the flashlight in my hand, and I try to wrestle myself loose, maybe even smash it in someone's head if someone is trying to, if I am able to free my arm. And I want to use my trademark improvised melee massacre.
I like it. That's very good thinking there, BC. So your trademark will allow you to add dice.
And I add 2 dice for the trademark.
And if the roll is successful, you gain directorial control. However, this is going to be the crux of the matter. The difficulty, the number of successes you need on this roll. Because you have one individual on your left arm, another on your right, and you have Charlie behind you driving his foot into your upper back. You need 3 or more successes on this roll.
Can I combine trademarks and quips?
You can use a quip at this point.
It's my dad's old flashlight that I had packed down with my things. And I say, please help me, Daddy.
And what does the rest of the group think? Was that a good use of a quip?
It's very creative. I like it.
Yes, I approve.
Very good. In that case, you gain an additional die. What that means is not only will you gain directorial control if you succeed here, you stand the possibility of gaining a free cinematic.
We got 110, we got 19, 19, and that's it.
So 4 successes. Congratulations, you only needed to get 3 in order to succeed. What it also means is you have rolled an award winner, which means your quip was dramatically successful. It means that, in essence, this scene would make it into the trailer, and I think that's appropriate, seeing a hero being forced headfirst into the drain and overpowering his aggressors. That means the following, so we'll break this down. You can do one of 2 things. You can retain the quip until the end of the story arc and draw an additional one, so that means you will have 4 quips to play with. Or you can instantly use a cinematic without a rewrite cost. So, you currently have directorial control. You also can use a cinematic. Or you can retain that quip and draw an additional one.
All right. I think, because I already got directorial control, I am gonna add a quip.
Your next quip is, please, for the love of God, don't hurt me. So, I'm going to break down a little more of these mechanics for you, and for the sake of the listeners too. If you use please help me, Daddy, again, and it's again deemed appropriate by the rest of the group, you will gain 3 additional dice instead of the 1, because the more times you use that same quip, the more dice you will get as a bonus, up to a maximum, I believe, off the top of my head, of 5 additional dice. So, let's go back to the scene now. You have directorial control. Let's go and tell us what happens as time effectively freezes, reality breaks, and your vessel is suddenly possessed by a great old one.
I feel like my entire being just stretches outside of my body as I wrench my arm downwards to break free, but instead of breaking free, the person that was holding on to me is flung forwards, unable to loosen his grip. He rolls on right into the owner of the diner, right into Mavis, who is flung to the ground, and I scream and I roar and I swing about with a flashlight, screaming over and over again, please help me, Dad, like I have been obsessed by something else. And people are flung to the ground, they are backing off. One last person standing next to me, almost looking horrified, I lift him up with one hand, holding him up in the air and flinging him straight down into the drain himself. And without realizing what I'm doing, I notice I'm running. I'm running towards my car. And it's on. The ignition turns. And it goes. I'm sliding. The car, the tires are whining and screaming against the asphalt as I make my way straight out of the diner. The whole car shaking. It's almost like the world is shaking as I make my way out, and the little bike rattling and bumping off the back of the pickup truck, and I see it bouncing off, tumbling on the ground in the back mirror as it lands beneath the feet of little Charlie, who is slowly bending down, picking it up, and standing there, and I feel his gaze looking after me, hungrily, strangely, and I don't know what just happened, but I'm getting the hells away from it.
As you tear your way through Denton, and light appears to return to your peripheral vision, although only dimly, evening is setting in. You find yourself driving up to the Johnson house. It's just en route. It just so happens to be that fate has deemed that your two companions are stood outside that burning building as you arrive. To the mind of B.C. Rosberg, which is suffering quite the malady at this time, it's as if Denton is hell. He was being forced into the underworld by people he once knew as friends, as neighbours. Now he's trying to drive through Denton, maybe even to get away from it, and buildings he's known his entire life are on fire, and his new companions stand outside like worshippers, like Satanists, standing, revelling at the horror. But that's when the light returns, a glimmer of sanity and stability. Of course, Agent Faulkner and Dr. White recognise the pickup, that it comes tearing down the road and screeching to a halt as well.
I am snapped a little from my own reverie. As I was watching the house consumed by the flames, I had to stop myself, thinking of the last time I was so close to a fire this large. But luckily those thoughts have been chased away by the screeching of his car. I turn and I look to the agent, puzzled. What is that? B.C.?
And I can barely hear Dr. White. I'm staring at the flames, entranced almost by them. I haven't looked at an open fire for a long time. You don't make them in the city very often. My mind jumps back to living outside after Oklahoma, in tents, moving from city to city, and then his voice catches me back into reality, and that's BC. We have to go. Dr. White, let's head towards the lab. Deputy Polo, you have things under control, I hope. I look to him.
Well, I don't know, I guess.
Listen, Deputy, it's very important. I go over. House fire. That's what's killed the Johnson family. Anyone who asks you, this is a horrible, horrible accident, and that's what killed the Johnsons. You can tell this to the sheriff. He has his story. Under no circumstances are you to tell anyone what has really occurred here today. Do you understand? Lives could be at risk.
I guess so. Yeah. I'll tell the sheriff what you said.
Very good. And I clack my cane and make my way to the car, remarking, "Bloody hell, boy, where have you been?"
You see me sitting by the wheel, my knuckles whitening against my dark skin as I clutch the driving wheel. My eyes are as big as plates. Looking back at you, my lips are quivering. It's as I've been through hell. I got some story to tell you, fellas. What are you doing? Why is the house on fire?
We can explain on the way. We must make our way back to the lab now. Quickly.
And me feeling that my legs couldn't carry me if I stepped out of the car, I just nod. And I let them get in themselves. And then I try to drive at a normal tempo towards the lab.
You think you see in your rear view the cycling frame of Charlie, just in the distance.
Do I still have the photo? Did he keep that?
I think you would still have it.
Yeah, I did say that he would come with me as long as I could have it. And as Jonas comes in and joins me in the passenger seat, I glance towards the photo lying there on top of the glove compartment, and I say, "Have a look at that, Jonas."
And I look at the photo, and what I see, it horrifies me, but we have seen things. It is almost to be expected.
That there right there was supposed to be in a drain outside Mavis's diner. You saw the little boy on his bike, Charlie Björklund. He took me there to have a look at it. I was greeting the people, and everything seemed fine. But when I went to investigate, they all gathered up on me and they tried to throw me down the drain. I don't know how I was able to get out of there, but it was as if Satan had taken a hold of them. Jonas?
I understand. The townspeople, they have secrets, clearly, and they aren't themselves. John Johnson wasn't himself either. Perhaps they're being influenced by something. Perhaps these beings have powers that far surpass anything that we can imagine. Well, we will find out. Our best scientific minds are on their way, as is some real muscle. We have agents coming, and we need to be there to meet them.
And yet, Agent, there's something that troubles me greatly. You seem to have implied that this has already been investigated. Yet why? Why now? It doesn't make any sense if you think about it. If these things have been here for some time, why have the government not investigated further until now? What does that mean?
That's above my pay grade. Uncle Sam must have a reason. The Bureau, the government, they know what they're doing. We need to follow. And then things will be fine. Yes.
Well, if this is some part of some government project or experimenting, letting things happen, then I don't want to be no part of it. You know what? I even saw that thing. The man in a diver suit. Ain't no man. It was some kind of lizard.
What?
Yeah, that was the first thing I went out to see. You know, I told you I would investigate the houses around the woods, and sure as hell that thing appeared. It was indeed the shape of a man in a diving suit, but as I saw it a bit closer, it had claws. Jonas, it was walking on two legs. I know it sounds insane, but surely from what you've seen from now, you must believe me.
Of course. That's what Susie Wilkins described, after all. And it makes a lot more sense that it is some form of creature rather than a man in a diving suit. Why would anyone be?
Long black claws, Jonas. I mean, Doctor, what I'm saying is there's different kind of things as these things. Species, I don't know.
For now, young man, we can't get distracted. We need to focus on one thing at a time. Know this. You can, from this point on, trust no one in this town. I've been discussing with the agent, and I believe your town may have known of these things for a while. However, what you've said certainly brings to mind some theories, but I won't bother you with theories right now. But we can no longer trust anyone other than perhaps the sheriff himself. We shall wait for the government help, and we shall proceed from there. From now on, no more talk of the town itself, no more gossiping to the townsfolk. If what you said is true, why, it could be to our detriment.
It's as he says, BC. The town wasn't like this when we lived here. They've changed, or perhaps they were always like this. They just kept it hidden from us. I don't know. But we can't trust them.
And I feel a chill of realization going down my spine as I realize, what about Ma? What about Dad?
I don't know. I don't know about my parents either. They too are after all local to this town. I just pray that they're safe and that they haven't gotten involved with this. Certainly not everyone can be involved in this grand conspiracy or whatever it is.
For now, just assume that if they are not a threat to us, they don't need to know anything either. Everything we do now needs to be among us only.
Are you heading straight back to the lab, or are you swinging by the sheriff's station first?
Time-wise, they would be arriving within the hour. How much time has passed?
Given you had enough time to burn down a house, I would say that at least 30 minutes have passed.
Well then, a quick stop by the sheriff's would probably be a good idea. He is our only ally in town, from as far as we know, and he deserves to know what has happened with this house.
Okay, you arrive back at the sheriff's station, where the lights are on, and as you enter, it's starting to look quite busy in here. The sheriff is, of course, within. Karen Johnson is occupying one of the cells, although she is unconscious at this time. Old Jack Johnson is laying across a couch in the sheriff's station, and Susie Wilkins is sat behind a desk that would usually be occupied by one of the deputies. Well, if I ain't my favourite deputies.
Yes. You're aware of the fire?
No word hadn't reached me. There's been a fire now?
Yes. I take him aside a little bit, not wanting to let everyone hear what we're saying. Sheriff?
I come over to listen to this story as well, as I haven't actually heard the story about the fire.
The organism, the goo, it has a will of its own. It tried to take control of the body of Jack Johnson. It tried to possess it. It tried to get at us, and it tried to escape the building. I'm afraid we were forced to burn it down. I know it's a drastic measure, but you must trust me when I say that it was absolutely necessary to prevent it from exiting that place.
He pinches the bridge of his nose and mutters something about wishing he'd stayed in Texas. So, the crime scene has been destroyed, but you're maintaining it was for the good of the community, and he gestures with his arm, this community.
Yes.
Do you know what that mad woman's been saying? Let me tell you something. You sit your asses down. Unless you got someplace to be, you're fidgeting like a little girl who needs a piss.
We do need to be places very soon. We have agents arriving within less than half an hour. So we must make this business quick.
Or we could involve the sheriff at this point. It might be more expedient, to be honest, to bring him along with us. You can quickly amend your report. I'm sure you won't get in that much trouble. It might be better.
Now you need to be aware of something, mister. You say there's agents coming down here? Now, I don't know how much about this Johnson woman is saying is true, so you need to take whatever she says with a pinch of salt. Because this is what I got from her before she went and passed out, and I don't think she's going to be recovering. There's been a lot of blood coming out of her nose since that point. So, sounds to me like just after the war, a whole bunch of government people was down here, and they was doing some experiments or another, And sounds like, according to her, they woke something up in the water. Now, this community, freaky as it is, seems to have gone through cycles of worshipping these things in the water. Making offerings, like pagans or some shit.
Offerings?
Sounds like Mrs. Karen Johnson's boy, Chip. He took Susie Wilkins out there to offer to this creature down in the caves.
No.
That's what a lot of these people use as make-out point for. And it just so happened, at least according to Mrs. Johnson, that things went a bit ass backward, and the creature decided to get Chip Johnson instead. Now, if this entire community is some goddamn petri dish for the government, and they is aware of what's down in the water, and you've lost control of this experiment, or freed it, or done some nonsense like that, now how do you think they're going to be treating you? Do you think they're going to let you walk out of here with your mouth wide open? Do you think they're going to allow any of us to do that?
My mouth is working furiously at this point, but I can't seem to make something out.
Now, it may well be that, trusting the good old boys in D.C., that they'll give you a medal and say, thank you very much for the sample, that's what we wanted, and they'll be on their merry way. But do you think they're really going to allow Denton to continue standing if there's something like this running rampant around? Do you really? How well do you know the people you work for? How well do you know him? He points at Dr. White. A lab coat wearing Brit who comes over here talking about experiments. Now, no offense to you, Doc, but I don't know you. I don't know your agenda, who you work for, what you're trying to get out of this. What I do know is this, that Denton is coming apart at the seams. All of us are. Right now it's just touch paper waiting for a light. And if that comes from the government, or if it comes from all these people that have come into contact and are worshipping this goddamn sea creature, from one end or the other, it's gonna blow.
So that's why people have been so mad. This is something they've been worshipping. It's like we've been interfering with their gods.
Gods? There are no gods at work here.
No, obviously not, but that's how people are seeing things. That's why they're getting so upset. I just look to the side and I try to shake it off.
These words about trusting the government and if they would allow us to leave this standing, it does make me think. It does make me think. And I am at a loss for what to do. I look to B.C. and to Dr. White, especially to Dr. White. What do you say?
You were saying she was bleeding from the nose? What do you think that is? Just stress, Sheriff?
She either had some kind of brain hemorrhage, or she's been taking something that just ran out, wore off. She seemed more dopey than, I don't know, John Johnson ever did when I knew him. Always did. Seemed on something or other, like morphine. Well, old Jack doesn't seem to care none that Karen has gone and keeled over in my cells, and right now I don't want to be inviting anyone in from out of town to give her medical treatment, because my priority has got to be making sure if something's going on here, it doesn't get out of Denton.
I nod approvingly to this and I look at the doctor and I say, well, doctor, I think it's time you spill your beans then. Why are you here? You say business, but it's in Denton, and you obviously some kind of egghead scientist.
That is correct. There's no secret to my intentions here, gentlemen. They are simply beyond you, but I will explain anyway. I was given a lease here by your government to conduct any experiments I wished in this area. They believed it was an area of interest. Now, Personally, Sheriff, I agree with you. This isn't my country, and I don't trust your government any more than any other government in the world. However, if they hadn't wanted me here, they wouldn't have sent me here in the first place. So, I confess, it would be strange now if they were suddenly wishing to hush me. They may as well not have sent me at all. But I do agree that governments do like to contain these things and keep them to themselves most of the time. Wouldn't you agree, Agent Faulkner?
Of course. If these things get out, that can be a threat. But they must understand that they can trust us. I have served my country and served my government. I am loyal, and they have nothing to fear from me.
I give Jonas a skeptical look at this point. Then I turn back to Dr. White. So, you come here to do experiments, and the government's approve of all that, and so perhaps they're just happy to actually get some proper insight into how these things, if they have created them after the war, have been evolving then.
Possibly. I am afraid I cannot tell you the intentions of your government until we find out what they want when they arrive. I would wish to conduct experiments in a more formal manner, although now with the town acting as it is, I worry that might not be completely possible. But, Sheriff, I would like to feel that if you can maintain some order, we might be able to conduct this in a more calm manner. If the people of the town do not think their gods are being studied, I suppose, they might react more normal. Although, I have to wonder if it's completely theoretical, of course. I'm starting to wonder how many of your townspeople are truly people anymore.
Yes. Well, time is running out, gentlemen. I'm going over to meet with the agents, and you'd better be there with me.
Indeed, I shall be attending as well. However, in light of what you said, Sheriff, if you would wish to stay out of this, then perhaps that is for the best. But again, I stress to you, your job now has to be convincing the people of this town that nothing is amiss. The fire, a terrible accident. That's why John Johnson is now dead. Luckily for you, you managed to bring in his father before the incident. Chip Johnson, case closed. Animal attack. We need to convince the people of this town that everything is fine. Maybe this way we can then help the town without any more people being in danger.
Well, if they know about these things, maybe I'll just trail off, grumbling a bit, and I feel completely at the mercy of these people, either the sheriff or this scientist and government. I start moving out towards the car.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the campaign Terror at Makeout Point, for They Came From Beneath the Sea. Our Game Master was the gentleman gamer, Matthew Dawkins, who also created the game. They Came From Beneath the Sea is published by Onyx Path Publishing, and we would like to extend a big thank you to them and to Matthew for doing this actual play project with us. The music for this episode is taken from the Cryo Chamber collaborations Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, Azathoth, Shub-Niggurath, and Nyarlathotep, and is used with permission from Cryo Chamber. Please check out cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more of their lovely dark ambience. Finally, a big thank you to all of our Patreon backers. Creating all of this content would not be possible without your generous support on Patreon. You give us loads of energy, you help us cover our costs, and you open up time for us to record and edit. So, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you ever so much. See you again soon.